Morning, Dan and Amy. As we mentioned, the city of Philadelphia, neither firefighters nor cops nor city employees will be subject to a vax mandate. It's voluntary. The alternative is to double mask. Okay.
Oh, we're back to that now?
In Philadelphia, that's their alternative, but there's no mandate to get vaccinated.
Okay.
That's, of course, not the case in Illinois, as we've been talking about extensively over the last week with respect to Chicago, but it's not just Chicago. It's in the suburbs. It's in the rest of the state. And one firefighter out Yorkville Way in Kendall County, a firefighter with the Bristol Kendall Fire Protection District, was fired for refusing to get vaccinated or, here was the alternative, submit to weekly COVID-19 testing. He was the only one, according to the local patch out there. 35% of the firefighters got vaccinated. The other two-thirds are being tested weekly, but not George Richter. He refused both, and now he's no longer a firefighter. He joins us now to explain why. George, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me this morning.
So, again, I can understand refusing the vaccination, but the alternative of weekly testing, that was a no-go for you as well. Why?
Right. Well, there is slight differences to vaccination and testing, and then there's some similarities to it as well. If anybody's wanting to inject anything in me, everybody has the right to medical freedom to that. But also having a cotton swab, right in my face for no reason at all, I'm not symptomatic of anything, is the same type of medical device that everyone else has the medical freedom to refuse as well, especially if I'm being treated as a patient, in the eyes of government, as an individual human being. You do still have the right to refuse any kind of medical treatment or interventions that's placed upon you.
And what is your, why don't you want to get the vaccine, knowing what you know about, because I'm sure, have you dealt with people in your community who've had COVID?
Oh, absolutely. I've been on the front line since, the beginning of this, not just at Bristol Kendall, but, some other departments as well. I was one of the first responders that, did get COVID-19, and, I felt ill for, about a week, but, I did the classic way. I stayed home, got proper sleep, got proper rest, ate as much as I could to, fuel my body, drank plenty of fluid, and then before you know it, my body killed it. So I acquired that natural antibodies to the virus, and I don't feel the need to get the vaccine directly in me to risk the possible side effects, which, reports are, can be rare to some people, but to some people it could be extraordinary.
So this is the key point, and this was left out of the patch story on the topic. Of course it was, is you were infected and recovered, so you have natural immunity. Was a conversation had between you and the boss there about natural immunity, and why don't you do an antibody test, and you'll see that I have, likely, I don't know what the antibody test would show, but likely it will show that you have at least as good of protection as the vaccinated firefighters on the force, and that should be the end of it.
Absolutely, and there was actually a lot left out of the patch article there, sadly, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, the natural immunity, since the dawn of time, man and women, we've came across plenty of viruses, and we've fought through them all. Even before vaccines and, trusting the science and everything like that. But, I'm not dismissing the fact that, science, medical science is extraordinary, in our modern day here. And I'm not anti-vaccine whatsoever. I'm just pro-freedom of choice on whatever kind of medical intervention that is put onto the body. And,
but would you,
I encourage people.
But would you have submitted if they said, George, all right, we'll do an antibody test, and if you come back with levels equal to or better than the vaccinated, then fine. Would you have submitted to the antibody test?
Probably, to be honest, yeah. Yeah, I have no problem with that at all. to show the natural immunity. You know,
Are you guys
really
unionized?
not as of yet. The districts just went full-time status, so I
Okay.
believe that's in the works. I'm kind of out of that conversation right now, though.
Well,
Well,
how are
yeah.
you supporting yourself and making money? I don't know. Do you have a family?
If you talk to a lot of firefighters out there, they always have
Oh, that's right.
most of them have a part-time job or a
Yeah.
few.
Yeah, but don't
Yeah.
you miss doing what you love?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it's not the end of my career by any means. You know, I'm a national registered paramedic. I can go to any NREMT qualified state out in the country. I'm only 31 years old. I'm not rooted down by anything, so it's not the end of my career by any means. I'm still a young man and still able to venture on wherever I would please.
Well, Indiana wants you, and so does Florida. Ron DeSantis, the governor there, is saying, "Come on down if you need a job."
So I heard, and it can get a little humid out in the summer, but it's been a while since I visited like the beach and all that, but
Yeah. Yes.
but it's a possibility.
It's a lot. It's a little bit more humid, but a lot less bullet free than Chicagoland.
Yes.
Although
Yeah.
out in
Right.
Kendall County, you're pretty safe. But it seems to me like this is a conversation, and this includes the unions, that they should be pressing with respect to these vax mandates too. I think most reasonable people like yourself have infected and recovered. So all of the studies indicate that I have as much or better immunity to the virus than the vaccinated. So that has to be considered. To not consider that is to be anti-science, as we've talked about with any number of medical experts. And it seems to me this is what individuals like yourself, as well as the unions that represent individuals like yourself and other locales, should be pushing. I mean, put them back on denying science to impose these mandates, because that's what they're doing.
I agree. And one other thing that really just came illogical in my mind is the those that are vaccinated. That's wonderful, but studies have shown that the vaccinated people still carry and transmit the virus just
Right.
as much as unvaccinated people. So they're not undergoing the testing. So just because that they got vaccinated means that they don't have to have a Q-tip shoved up their nose every week, but the people that are unvaccinated do. It just seems very discriminating and just kind of almost bullying and kind of it's really bullying against the people that are still on the fence with the vaccine, and it's just everyone
right,
can
and
still transmit the virus, but only half the people are getting a Q-tip in their nose, and
Yeah.
it really doesn't make sense to me.
Well, and it is
And if
noteworthy
testing
that
was so important, why wasn't it implemented in the beginning of this whole pandemic? It's just,
it's worth noting that 2/3 of your colleagues in that fire protection district are not vaccinated. They're just submitting to the weekly testing. That is noteworthy. What did your colleagues, your fellow firefighters, have to say about you being terminated?
They're very upset by it, and they fully support my standing, because they're feeling the same thing. They just want medical freedom. They want this pandemic to end. We are tired. We are exhausted.
Yeah.
We're mentally exhausted. It's relentless now. We are just tired. We want to move forward, and it just seems like we are not moving forward. We want things to return back to normal. We can still implement the safety measures that we've had, since the beginning, or even pre-COVID. Wash your hands, eat a proper diet, get sleep, the whole classic way of remaining healthy. And if we did that, we probably would actually see diabetes go down, cardiovascular disease go down as well. So but they're really upset by it, and they share the same sentiment with me, and they wish that they could be by my side. But as a probationary firefighter, you could be terminated for literally a wrinkle in your shirt, if for
Right.
anything really. And I understand where they're coming from. They got families, they got their own lifestyle they have to protect and stuff. So but in order for this to in order for all of us to move forward, people just have to fight and demand for freedom.
Well,
And
yeah.
more. And I commend the firefighters over in Chicago, over in Naperville, all across the nation, really, that are the Chicago cops as well. This is how you do it. And yes, the whole unionization, and we got to move forward out of this. We can't stay stagnant in this pandemic for forever.
Well, if you're
It's
not doing
gonna be good
anything
for
this
anybody.
morning, the FOP is having a huge rally at City Hall before the City Council meeting, just in case you wanted something to do.
Oh
this
yeah,
morning.
like you want to drive to Chicago? I
The weather's
recommend against
perfect.
it. Yeah,
And it's really safe.
George Richter, he's now a former firefighter, Bristol Kendall Fire Protection District, out Yorkville Way. George, appreciate your time and best of luck to you.
Thank you so much for having me today. You guys have a wonderful day.